Hello, hello. I'm Jenny Klochko. Welcome to my podcast. Thank you for finding time and join me today. So, before we start, I would like us to discuss the situation around negotiations between Ukraine, Russia, and obviously US. And before we start, please hit subscribe and like button, and here we go. Let's get started. And also, if you have any questions, if you have your ideas, thoughts on the topic, please share with me. Let's discuss it. So, what's happening? We see news feeds, always some new figures appearing at the negotiation tables, some press releases, some comments, blah blah blah. But let's look at the bigger frame. Let's look at the context and where it's all started. So, this the big frame. I think I did a bit of research and I found quite interesting. Good morning, Trishka. Good morning. So, and I found a few interesting thoughts. As you can guess, or as you can understand, negotiations, peace negotiations, success when it's quiet and when people, those who know things and understand things, they try not to spoil it. The same like with exchange prisoners of war or any political negotiations. It likes the quiet, the no noise. No noise required to destroy everything war. It's been achieved so far. Okay, so where it's all started, and it's actually quite common. I found it's interesting because it's coming from the people who were working with Putin quite some time, and they have own insight. So let's see if you find it interesting and if it resonates with the ideas you have. So December 2024, Putin realizes that Trump is coming back, and first move, it's to find Trump's pressure point. So what pressure point was Steve Witkoff? He's not diplomat, he's a personal channel. It's basically the entrance door, the access. And Putin didn't go to the State Department, as you would expect. He went straight to Trump's inner circle. So Putin used this hostage diplomacy, returned an American prisoner via Witkoff, and his basically goal was to get this emotional leverage, personal trust, access. And this wasn't a goodwill, it was an investment. And Putin's 28 points planned. So Kremlin drafted this document with 28 points, of course, favorable to Russia, and Witkoff helps get it approved in Washington. But the plan still needs to be a consent from Ukraine. Well, the plan worked in Washington and died in Kiev. Ukraine's countermove. So Ukraine doesn't reject outright because Ukraine depends on U.S., on weapon supply. But instead, Ukraine engaged, delay, rewrite, neutralize, and basically it gave us 40 days of grinding negotiations. And you see, Ukraine didn't flip the board; they changed the rules, they adjusted, and it's not what Putin expected or Putin planned. And so, what they gained, they killed the plan and they got sort of negotiations levels with Trump. And Putin realizes that his operation actually failed. If you remember, when Zelensky traveled to Mar-a-Lago and there was a joint press conference with President Trump, Putin wasn't happy about it. His answer was striking, and he wasn't just striking as he usually would. He was striking in Lviv, close to the NATO country, the Poland border. That was his answer, because his operation failed. And you see, once Trump stopped buying it, all of this charade, the game was over. Putin didn't carry on. So, you see, What Putin was next move? He stages a symbolic attack on his own residence, threatens to tighten conditions. What was Trump's reaction? He didn't buy it. He told the attack hasn't happened, and he has own intelligence. So again, failed. So Putin's frustration turned into escalation, direct missiles right on Kiev. And as you know, right now, Kiev especially is just freezing because Putin destroyed the energy infrastructure. And nevertheless, all these challenges, all these hardships in everyday life, when people for days don't have electricity, they don't have light, and the flat's cold, they still trying to keep their spirits up. So, and if you noticed, if you remember, so it was since December 2029, Putin said nothing, no statements, no framing. And what does it mean? It means recalculations. And silence in Moscow usually means the plan just died. So, what we see then later on in January, when the three teams met on 26th of January, isn't it? So, negotiation illusion. Because officially, and Putin himself, many times he stressed out that Lavrov is the negotiator, Medinsky is the head of delegation, but in reality, none of them participated. No formal talks happened. Now Putin can say there were meetings, but no negotiations. And it wasn't diplomacy. There was special operation using personal envoys, hostages, back channels, psychological pressure, and it's all failed. Putin basically he spent a year playing chess and still ended up in check. So I think it would be good to look who is at the table and why the delegations matter more than the words. What do you think when you're following this news? Do you think the press releases telling us the truth, or you looking for some other signs and other back symbols that could give us the context? Because you don't judge negotiations by what was said, isn't it? You judge them by who was sent. So, if Russia wanted peace, these wouldn't be the people in the room, because we need to look who Russia sent, and because we know that delegations don't lie, press releases do. And Ukraine's delegation is constrained. We have to remember these two key points, because Ukraine delegations, their mandate is quite limited, and Russia's delegation is entirely military intelligence. That's what we need to keep in our mind, because they're all done tell us what kind of negotiations this really are. And so why Budanov matters in Ukraine delegations, and what does it mean? So Kirill Budanov, former head of military intelligence, and now he is the head of president's office. So he is the sign of presidential authority. He's not there to bargain the territory. He's there to protect the red lines, handle security and humanitarian issues, and also control information leakage. This is important to clarify that Ukraine has no mandate to discuss territorial concessions and trade sovereignty. These are off the table by law and directive. So Ukraine's delegation is there to manage the risks, not redesign the country. So Russian delegation, it's completely GRU team, not diplomats. Russians didn't send politicians, they sent operators. And let's have a look. It's just a delegation, the people who are actually present there. So it's Igor Kostyukov, the head of GRU, it's military intelligence. Aksyuta, Zorin, Zhigalovsky, they all general staff GRU. zero political figures, zero diplomats. Do you understand what's happening here? So, in Western system, the negotiations it's held usually by politicians and diplomats. In Russian system, it's intelligence-led talks. It's about operations, leverage, pressure, and I come to the conclusion that this is not a peace delegation. This is a control and exploitation, basically, delegation. And the interesting moment, you probably didn't notice, but there's a quite interesting key in all of this delegation thing. It's the Moskalik factor. So Moskalik, the general Moskalik, who was eliminated by Ukrainian secret services, and the presence of General Zhigalovsky, so he was close friend of General Yaroslav Moskalik, and Moskalik was eliminated in Moscow. And Zelensky, President Zelensky, he publicly acknowledged Ukrainian special services success. So it's not about revenge, not about emotion. It's about signal and posture. So when you send intelligence officers linked to assassinated generals, you're not signaling reconciliation. You are signaling continuation, don't you? And so, do you think is this intimidation, signaling, or standard Russian practice from everything you see, you read, you watch? What's your gut feelings tells you? And if we ask ourselves what Russia is actually trying to achieve, this isn't about peace, is it? It's about narrative, positioning. And if we look at the goals Russia trying to achieve, so they show sort of the Western recognition and of isolation, because these were the isolation, particularly for Putin, it was probably the most hurtful things. And it's been said and repeated through all these years since he invaded Ukraine. So internally, he can sell this point that West comes to us and Russia is winning. So convert fake contracts into political claims. And Russia doesn't need the agreement. They did not just appearance. They didn't come for peace there. They didn't come to find the way how we can stop the war, ceasefire, or anything. They just carry on sending their top generals from GRU. So what's the US role in all of this? Why Americans not neutral? Why it's not necessarily bad? Or do you think, hello, lots of love to India as well? So if we look at the American delegation, it's Kushner, strategic political continuity. So Witkoff, Trump's trusted deal operator. And you see, it's US intermediary now, not full moderator yet. And many times I've heard among the experts, discussions, and even in the comments, some interviews or even news of why Americans playing on Russia's side. Sometimes it looks that way. Not necessarily it is. Strategically, the shift towards US security guarantees is Ukrainian win. So everything what needs to be done for Ukraine to get this solid security guarantees approved by the Senate and solidified Ukraine's future protected by US means win, because we all remember this Budapest memorandum, which just turned into joke, never worked, and still pain for many Ukrainians. So where the talks are actually real, when it comes to exchange of prisoners of war, energy infrastructure strikes, and humanitarian corridors. So these are the only areas where real compromises exist. Everything else is positioning and messaging. So, should humanitarian issues be separated completely from political negotiations? What do you think? Let me know. Or you think it should be all together? And what this means going forward. So if we look what we should expect or how it's going to be. So Russia is playing an operational game and not peace game as we would hope or we would like to believe in this illusion. No, it's not the case. And Ukraine is playing the defensive time management game. US is slowly being pulled into those who can guarantee Ukraine's territory, and outcomes will be decided outside the negotiation room. So, peace isn't negotiated by intelligence chiefs, as you can imagine. It's enforced by political decisions, and we are not there yet. Absolutely. So, let me know what you think. Let me know what your gut feelings, what your research or opinion formed on everything you watched and you've seen. And let's see what the next round of negotiations or meetings of these three groups of representatives will bring us. Oh, Camila, hello from Sweden. Camila, I was just jumping into negotiations and who is represented at the table and what kind of strategy and tactics is used. And basically, I came to the conclusion that it's not about the peace so far. It's because the intelligent chiefs, they're just to manifest, to send the message and about the positioning. What do you think? Do you actually follow the? Do you think it's essential to follow the this peace negotiations, or it's all still too early to follow and get some messages? Please let me know. And if you agree or disagree with me, please let me know. Or if you enjoyed the analysis, please hit the subscribe button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, and like, because YouTube really sees and will send more recommendations towards my podcast channel. So thank you. Thank you for finding time to join me today. And I'll see you sometime very soon. We will come back with more interviews and more guests on the podcast. So if you like the channel, you would like to support, please become a member. I would really appreciate it. And if you're interested in intelligence and spies and all of that, I have several interviews on my podcast. It's about the resistant movement. It's with the former head of Ukraine's military intelligence and many more things. And also the representative, the former officer of MI6, Chris Steele, on the podcast. Please check it out because I'm a big fan of everything when it comes to spies and intelligence. So happy to hear your thoughts. Trishka saying they are not peace negotiations; they're important to follow, though, as they give more information what Russians are prioritizing. Yeah, and it's important to keep meeting. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And hopefully it will be soon warm and the energy will be restored, infrastructure. I'm so grateful to those people in Poland and other countries who were sending equipment to give support, warmth, and electricity to the Ukrainians who are suffering right now after Russians' attack on civilian infrastructure. So thank you for joining me. And I'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and hopefully re energize and get a lot of plans next week. And hopefully, there will be lots of good news. I'm Jenny Klochko. Thank you for watching. Bye.